Now, functions give you the ability to do a variety of things. Sum is a function. Anything that is followed by the brackets and also that started as an equal sign is a function. So a function takes arguments, and a function can take more than one argument. So the basic function takes one argument, and composite functions takes more than one argument. Now, when we start with the sum as an argument, it is used to add more than one parameters. Now, it gives us the total amount of parameters that we are adding into the cells, maybe from a cell range. So it gives us okay, sorry for that. So under the amount column, okay, when you look at on this amount, when we look at these cells or columns from C, D, E, F, and G, these columns can give us some parameters that we are checking. Now we have a fruit here and the amount. Here we have the meat and the amount, item and the amount. Now, when you look at these parameters, you see that apples are given at 50, oranges at 20, bananas at 60, lemons at 40. And now when you are calculating the sum here, this sum becomes the function. And a function is given by fx. Now this sum function, it is taking the range of the cells from this cell D3 and then to the cell D6. So it is calculating the total amount of the range of the amount of the money paid here. So sum takes even more than one parameters. It can take, now categorically we can say that, for example, let me just give you an example here. When we want to find the sum of the ranges of these cells and then these cells, well, let me just highlight them in a different color so that we can be able to know which are we talking about. Now, sorry. Now let me highlight this one in red and then these ones in green. So we are taking sum as a function, then it's followed by the brackets. Then we are taking this range as the first range. Then we can also separate with a comma, then we take another range here. Then we close the bracket. It means that we are calculating the sum of this product, then the sum of this range separately. Then when we hit enter, it's going to sum up all the ranges. Now, categorically, let me take another number here. Let me just put another function here. For example, now here I put 45, then 20, 12, 3, then 2. Now we want to get the sum of this range. Let me use here. So sum. So sum, then we start the product. Now the first range, this range. Then we put a comma, then we look at also this range. We want to sum this and this together. So as one parameter. So we look at these ranges. This range, the first range, and then the second range. We sum them together. When we hit enter, we'll find that all the sum of these numbers plus these numbers is what we are getting here as 512. Now you can use different arguments to calculate sum in different cells and different columns and different rows. So this one will help us to calculate things without being introduced, maybe to calculate the sum of this first plus this, the sum of this first, but we are going to take them together. Now, for example, let me just add another column here, insert. So maybe we needed to find the sum of this first, maybe sum, then we say that here sum equals to this range first, then we get this one. Let me just bold this, and then we get this again is equals to sum in bracket, you take this range, then we have here 8 again, right? So it will if you want to get this and this, you will maybe add just like sum. Now we want to get the two cells, this one and this one, we'll get 460, but we have used a very wrong route. Calculating this, then we calculate this first, is when we get here the amount. But we can use a very shortcut, the one that we are calling using of ranges. We calculate this range, comma, then we add again this range here. Then we close the bracket. It will give us the same amount. I don't know where the 2 is coming from, but I think we have included something else here. Let me check E17. Okay, fine. So when you want to get all the products in a different row, in a different column, first, without going through the procedure of adding this first plus this plus this, but you can get all of them at once, is that how you use different, as that's what we are calling different functions with different arguments. So it can bring more than one argument. Now, like here, you can sum this together with a different argument. You add 3 arguments or 4 arguments. We can try that by doing here sum, then we take this range, the first range, then comma, the second range, comma, the third range, comma, the fourth range, comma, and then bracket, then we add. We will get the sum of all the 4 parameters. Here you can also get the sum, here you can get the sum, here you can get the sum using the same function. So sum is a function as well as other functions that we'll look at more advanced time. Now, AutoSum, you can go to formulas and then AutoSum, then you also select sum. When we are talking about AutoSum, we can use this example here. We go to a home button, our basic home button, then we navigate to this last option where we have the AutoSum. Now on the drop-down menu of the AutoSum, you will take the sum and it will add your range, and then you click enter, it will give you the same result without entering the details. This inbuilt action helps you to navigate through faster than doing it yourself. We have also the average there. Then we can have the maximum, minimum, and all the more functions that are found on AutoSum. We can also do the SUMIFs, the minimum, the sin, the PMT, and the hyperlink. If the if and the averages also can be found on the AutoSum function. So this AutoSum is the one that we are calling inbuilt functions. They can help you to categorically finish faster than inputting the formula. So let me just complete the AutoSum of this particular table. Okay. So this is the AutoSum. It's also an inbuilt function. So we can also have a keyboard shortcut that when we are using them, it can help us also to enter and also navigate through the functions. We can select D5, then press Alt is equals to, then enter, it automatically enters the sum. Now, for example, let me just remove this. So we come here, you press Alt is equals to, and then enter. Sorry, I don't know why it's not giving me. Then enter, you will get the same results. Alt, then is equals to, and then enter. Also, it will give you the same result for the sum. So sum, there's many ways of navigating through the sum, but when you are using the keyboard shortcut is when we are using one range. Even if the auto sum you're using, the auto sum is only when you're using one range, but when you're using more than one range, you use the arguments, and that arguments will help you to navigate through the workbook. Now we have more about the functions. When we are using this function, we can also use the same function, the same parameters in product. You can use the same product in quotient, and you can also use the same product in sum ifs. So it is just a way of taking through the arguments and also how to know how to write the arguments. Okay. Now, more about functions is saying go to the formulas tab and browse through the functions library. Formulas tab, I don't know where you can see the formulas tab. Oh, okay. I don't know where it is. Is it on the layout? No, it must be on this. Then we have a formula somewhere. Okay, just a moment. Sorry, it's here. So you can go to the formulas tab and then you go to the library. There are so many functions, AutoSum. You can also look at the recently used one. We have functions like standard deviation. We have the sum, the average, the if. You can also insert a hyperlink, count, maximum, sin, sum, if, and so many functions that you can even build yourself. We can also have the financial accounting functions. There are so many. We will look at them as time goes by. We have so many inbuilt functions that you can use. Logical operators, we have and, false, if error, switch, true, XOR. All those are the formulas that you can use when you are using the Excel workbook. You can also insert date and time, maths and trigonometry, and we have so many more functions. But today, let's just introduce about functions and how we are going to make the parameters work. Now, I have sent this document in the group, which can help you to go through at your own time. Now, when you are typing a function, and when you input just, let me say, an equal sign, and you write a function like sum, you will see Excel brings you an extra functions that you can be used in place of sum. If you don't know which one to use or you have forgotten but you just start to type, it will give you directly the amount of functions that you can use. So this one will help you not to, we call them interlicense. It will help you to navigate through the workbook, and sometimes it also gives you the options. Now when you type a comma, it gives you number one and number two. So you can use this number one, and number one is the argument number one, and number two is the argument number two, and all the arguments. Or number one can mean the cell number one, cell function number one, and then the number two, number three, and then the last one is the last cell function. So it will automatically give you an interlicense that will help you not to forget what you're doing. So those are the beauty of functions. They will give you an interlicense that helps in further going. Now, let's look at how the function looks like. Now, the function has three areas. We have the equal signs, and then we have the function name. Now, here the function name is sum. Then we have the first argument, which is always required because you cannot do anything without the first argument. Then we can look at the additional arguments, which is separated always by a comma. So these are the additional arguments. Now, this one is the function name. Sum is the function name. Then we have the first argument, then additional arguments. And arguments are, you can add as many arguments as possible, so long as they are in the correct order. So we only have a comma that separates the additional argument. Okay, now we can also have a function that does not take any argument. For example, when you want to display today's date, you can say today, then you just put the commas, then it will bring the day, the date today. It does not take any argument. Let's try time and see if time takes any argument. Wow, there's a problem with the formula. So you know why? Time you can specify in terms of hours. Sorry, hours, minutes, second. So this is what the argument is saying. Hours, minute, then second. It should give us the time. Okay. I think there is a problem with the formula. We'll see how it goes. Time does not require one argument. Let me see. It requires more than one argument. But today does not require an argument because it will display the day today. Okay. Now, those arguments or the functions are displayed in the same way. They have the same layout. We have the equal signs, then the function name, the first parameter, then the first argument, then additional arguments, and so forth. But we have those that does not require the arguments. That is when we are talking about today, time, and so forth. Also, we will look at them in a nutshell. Now let's look at the average. The average function is used to get the average of numbers in a range of cells. We know a range of cells is different cells from different position to from one position to another. And we know that a cell is an intersection between a column and a row. So for example, this cell that I've highlighted is cell D3 because the column is D. So you can see that is the column D, and then the row is 3, so that we can be intersected here, D3. So D3 becomes the intersection between the row and the column, and it becomes our cell. So if we have more than one cells, now we call them a range. So that's now what we call a range of cells. Now when we are doing the average, we are doing the same thing. You can use the AutoSum to get the average. For example, you go here, you click, then still on the home, you go to AutoSum and then get the average. You click enter, you get the average of the parameters. Still the same way here, you go to sum, AutoSum, then average, then you click enter, it will give the average here. As well, you can also use that formula. You can say is equals to average. If you like writing, then brackets, then you select the range of the cells that you want to make the average. Then you close the bracket, still you can get the average. Right? So here you can also still use the average. It is not a must that you write average. You write average and then you pick it from the drop down. Then you select the range, sorry. Then you select the range where you want to make the average. Sorry, this one is erroneous. I've not picked the correct formula. So you come is equals to average. Then you pick the range of cells you want to get the average. And then you close the bracket. Then you click enter. It will give us the average. The formula is not accepting because of this. Is equals to average, then the range of cells, then you get the average. The same way as sum. So all the functions that we have, they have the same layout and the same way we can handle them. So these nodes have so much. We can also get more about in the web, and you can also get about the median. Median, we know that is the most common, most in the middle one. Then mode is the most common. So let's see if we can get the most common here. So we can get is equals to then median. Then you select the range of the cells. You close. Then we get the median. What is it saying? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sorry, 6. Let me select another range. That was, let me do here 15. Now you see we can get because this one has already calculated to be the average. We can also have we can only have the 5 because this one has a formula. Now the median becomes 50, right? You can have the mode is equals to mode open bracket, then you select the range, then you close the bracket, then we get the mode most common. You can see 50 is the most common. Again, 50 is the median. Okay. Now hopefully that we are together. Let me find the feedback. Are we together? Or I've gone so fast? Or if I'm so fast, you can also tell me that I'm too fast there. I need to rectify. Feedback? Are we together? Thank you, Dixon. Thank you, Salome. Thank you, Derek. Ombogo? Manshur, thank you. Manshur, you have raised the hand or you are saying we are together. You can unmute and talk. Timothy, thank you.
We are together.
Thank you, thank you. Now, after the average, we have also the function for mean and max. That is the minimum and the maximum. Still in the same way. You can select the cell, then go to AutoSum, then select the max, then you click enter. You will have the maximum here. You can go to AutoSum, still click to max, select the cells, and then you click enter. You will still get the maximum. You can also go to AutoSum, then select the minimum, you click enter, you get the minimum of that. You can also use the function, the Excel function, that is equals to minimum, then the ranges here, then you close the bracket, also the cell function that you have. All functions have the same layout. You can use minimum for the smallest number and then maximum to look for the maximum number in the workbook. So it is a very, very automated thing that we have to use. Mean, maximum, quotient, product, sum, all those functions have the same layout. Now we can navigate through to go to and see what date and time has for us. That workbook, you have it, you can go to the web and see more about it. Now, date and time, as we have said that if we want to know the day today, you just click is equals to, then you write today, then you open and close the bracket, it will write the date today. Now, the date today is the only function that does not take any argument. It does not take any argument. That is today. Now, but as you can see here, we are saying subtract dates, enter your next birthday in month the format in the cell D7, and watch Excel tell you how many days away is it by using is equals to D7 minus D6 in cell D8. Now, these are the cells here. Today's date. Okay, let's say today. Then you calculate, you close the bracket. It tells you today. Your birthday, when were you born? Let me say 12th of 12th, 2000, and see how many. So it is saying days until your birthday. Why is it not taking these? Okay, it is month, or month is here, day, and the year. So the year here is, let me say 2020. So days until your birthday. Oh, okay. So it must be 2023, sorry, because that is a negative, eh? Birthday, not the day you are born. Yeah, sure, that is. So who was born in the month of December? We can calculate the days. Anyone who was born in December, we calculate the days, and we see how we will arrange. Injita, when were you born? I see you've raised your hand.
12th, 7th, 7th.
7th, eh? Let's calculate and see how many days are we supposed to come and. So 7th. So here it should be 7th, eh? So 7th, see. Oh, so
Okay.
7th, 12th, which, okay, month is 12th, and then the day is 7th, then the year is 2023. Why is it giving us negative? Or it is me who has given the wrong information. Let me see. Yeah, exactly. After 21 days. So you can see that. You can also add dates. Let's say you want to know. Okay, here we have used two functions, eh? The today's function and the subtraction function, right? So we have subtracted using this d is equals to d7 minus d6. So we are using, you can use more than two functions, more than three functions, or even 10 functions in a worksheet. So here you can see we have used two functions. One is the dates to the today function which takes no parameters, and then the minus function. Here we can also use the sum function plus the days function, eh? Now, let's say you want to know the date the bill is due, or when you need to return a library book. You know, you can add days to the date, find out. In cells D10, enter the random number of days. D10. Where is D10? Here. Let me say 12, 21 days. In cells, okay, in cell D11, we added D6 to D10 to calculate the due day from today. So you see now from D6, which is D6, this one, today's date, right? Then we are adding D10, D10 that is 21. So from today, when we add 21 days, it returns us to 12. Now let's try and put 5 days here. Now it will calculate the day that you automatically have to return that book, or automatically you want to pay the bill. You can automate this using Excel, and you can be able to make future plans for your payment or automation and such function. Now we have important details there. You will read them about the today's functions and the time date function. Now the time function here. Now, in cell D28, enter now, right? Now, let's look at that function. Now, it takes no arguments also. Now, it will give you the day today and the time that we are today. Now, it is around 17:35. Now, when you calculate you enter that function, it will tell you that the date today and the time at that particular time. Now, which will give the current time and will update each time Excel calculates. If you need to change the time format, you can go to Control plus 1, then number, then time, select the format you want. Now, that's according to the format, right? Now, if you click Control, then plus 1, you come back to the number, You can see we are here, number is here. Then what do you want? Time. We have this. You can change your time here. You want to display them is upon you, right? It can change, you see. Just the format, you change the format. Type control, then control one, then number, then time. You will see how that thing changes. Then add up hours between times. Inside D36, we have entered D35 to D32 minus D34, D33 times 24, which calculates someone's start and end times, right? Then subtract the time they took for lunch. The multiplication asterisk 24 at the end of the formula converts the fraction portion of today's that Excel into hours. You'll need to format the cell as numbers through that. Okay, that is erroneous. But now you can use these Excel functions, the time and the date, to calculate the number of hours someone must be doing some work. Now, as you can see, time in is 8, then time out, lunch out 12 to 1, then time out 5. Now, how do we calculate the number of hours someone has worked? Now, let's say you came in at 1400, let me say 2 p.m., 2 and then p.m. Then you are living here at 6 p.m. So you want to calculate the number of hours that you have been in, right? So we will use the is equals to, then we open that function, right? So which cell are we having here? This cell. Then minus this cell. Then we close the brackets. Then we multiply by 24, right? And let's see what it gives us. You see, it is giving us 4 hours. But it is a negative. Why? Because we are using, because 6, 2 p.m. and 6, 2 minus, okay, we need to have said the other way around, sorry. Because the finished time, sorry for that. So is equals to, then we open, time you get out, then we minus the time you came in, then we multiply this by 24. Now we'll get the number of hours that you have been somewhere. That is 4 hours, right? But our formula here, it is having D35 minus D32, D35 here, minus D32 here, then minus D34. So we are minusing again another argument, D34 minus D33. Now we are minusing these 2 hours for lunch, this 1 hour for lunch, then we are multiplying by 24. Then we get the number of hours someone has worked. Now, assuming that you are there, you are calculating the number of hours people have entered. This is the functions that you use. You use the time function and then the subtraction function. So we are using 2 functions at the same time. So you can see from here, D35 is the time out, then this 32 is the time in, then we are minusing the lunch out and the lunch in, then 24 converts Excel fraction to a day of a day to hours. So we are multiplying by 24 because a day sums up to 24 hours. So you can see the inner parentheses, make sure Excel calculates those parts of the formula by themselves, right? The outer parentheses make sure that the Excel multiplies the final results by 24, right? So that is how we can use 2 functions or 3 functions or 4 functions to automate our results in a working space. Now, do you have any concern up to that point? Any question up to that point before we continue to another parameter? Is everyone okay or on how we are using these parentheses, 4 parentheses at the same time? Is everyone okay with that? Sarah, are we together? Okay, thank you. Salome, thank you. Okay, that's date and time. Thank you. You can also now I want us to look at how we are going to join the texts and numbers. So when we are joining the text and numbers, we use an ampersand. An ampersand is an and sign that you use shift and 7, you create an ampersand. That is what you are calling an ampersand. Shift and 7. So when you're creating texts in a table and you want to combine them in different cells, you use shift and 7 to create an ampersand that creates the two agglomerated texts together. They might be numbers, they might be texts, they must be alphanumeric, so you use the ampersand to combine them. Now in this example, I want us to look at those two words, Nancy and Smith. So you want to make Nancy and Smith be Smith Nance or Nance Smith in one cell, not in different cells. Now we can use another example. Let me type here Nairobi and here we say Kenya. Now, if we want to combine Nairobi, Kenya, we use a formula is equals to, now this cell C11, then we create an ampersand shift 7, and then this cell D11, then we click enter. When we click enter, we will see that we have Nairobi, Kenya, right? But when we want to also to make sure that we have a comma, Nairobi, then comma, then Kenya, we will use the same. So Nairobi here, then an ampersand, then colons, comma, colon, then the last batch. Sorry, I've not selected the last cell. Sorry. So we add the last cell, that's D11. Okay. Fine, sorry. We add an ampersand again here, an ampersand, then D11. Okay, now we get it here, right? So you can see you can get this, then space, then that. Let me just go to it again. Okay, right. So you will get Nairobi, Kenya. Here again, you can use the same is equals to this cell, then an ampersand, then colons, parentheses. Then you can get this one, space, that, and then ampersand again. Then you choose the cell again. You get now Nairobi, Kenya with a hyphen, right? So that is how you are going to join texts and numbers in a workbook. Now, let's say we are having 100 here. Okay, let me use my name, Nathan here. And then we have 100 here. So we want to combine the two. We will do is equals to this one, and then ampersand, then this cell. You see, now it becomes text and word joined. So that's how we will do joining uh, text and numbers. So let me just write that formula again there in the chat. Right. Now you can see from the chart I have given you an equal sign, then the first cell we are combining with the second cell. So it means that the words in the first cell are being combined with the words in the last cell. Or the letters in the first cell are being combined with the letters of the last cell. So if we want to include something in between, let me write the code. Now, do you have any questions according to joining of text and words? Maybe from different cells? Any question or any thing that you need us to rectify? For average, if when you're having a certain average, a certain condition and is met, then we do the average. Same to count if, same to sum if. Now, in cell D9 here, so this is the D9. If C enter, if C9 is equals to apples, true, false, the correct answer is true. Now, we are looking at if C9, if this is C9, it is having the apple. Now, the apple is the condition, and if you have apples here, then it will return true. If we don't have apples, then it will return false. Now, let me see. If now the C9, let's pick the C9, is equals to apples, let's just write the way they have written, then we return the value. If it is true, then we say that it is what? It is true. Else, it is false. Then we close. So you see, why is it returning false? Because here it is not apples. It is not here. The condition was apples. As you can see from up here, I said it is apples. So it is returning false because the condition is apples. But if I put here now, I add an S here, it will return the true because now the condition is made to be apples. But if it is just an apple, it will return a false because remember my condition was apples, right? But if I remove an S in my formula, in my if statement, it will return true, right? Now, let's see if C9 here, if C9, if the C9 now, right, if the C10, sorry, is having orange, then the value if true, then we say we write blue. If it does not have the oranges, then we write the red. We close the bracket and let's see. Wow, there is a problem somewhere. Blue, red. Okay. Mhm. Just a moment and see why the argument is being. Let me see why is it telling us the formula contains unrecognized text. Okay, fine. I should define this blue and red. Let me see if you use yes and no. If it will, some text are taken as arguments and cannot be used anywhere else. It doesn't still pick them. Let's just use true and false. And then here, false. Now it becomes true. Some values cannot be taken as arguments. Now, try another example by looking at the formula in D12. This D12. We got you started with if C12, this C12 is less than 100, then it becomes less than 100, the value. Then if not, then it's greater than or equals to 100. What happens if you enter the number greater than or equals to 100 in cell T12? Now let me put here 150. So it returns greater than or equals to 100. Now let's use our example. Let's use our example. Blue. Let me just use that one. Now let's write an if statement. If this cell, if this cell has what we are calling blue, then we return then we return let's return yes. If not, then let's return a no. Sorry. And then let's close the bracket. You see it gives, if C13 is blue, then it gives a yes. If not, then it gives a no. Let's change here to give it green and see what it will tell us here. It becomes a no. So if statement can be used to do that. Now true and false, and like other words in Excel formulas, in that they do not need to be in quotes because it will automatically capitalize them, right? Now here, when we wrote true or false, we are not using quotes because it is recognized as an argument in Excel. But when we are using other words like yes or no, or wait, okay, let's say if it is blue, we write go, and if it is not blue, then we write wait. Let's see how it comes. You see, green wait. Now let me put here blue go. You see, the argument was if it is blue go, if it is not wait. So we have the criteria. The criteria is this, that the argument that is here. Then the parameters here are taken if the criteria is taken into consideration. Now, you can still use an if function with another statement, right? You can use an if statement with another function. Now, before that, let's see if we have understood. Okay, let's now continue to see if we are having if statement. We can use if statement with other functions. Now, if statement can also force additional calculation to be performed in a certain condition is met. Here we are going to evaluate a cell to see if sales taxes should be charged and calculate the function if it is true. Now we can use the if function with multiplication. Now you can see we have an asterisk there. If the statement is yes, then we take F33 times sales taxes, then we return a 0. Now, in the cell F33, we've entered that formula. When we set up sales tax as a named range with the value of 0.086825, our formula says if cell E33 equals yes, then multiply cell F31 times sales tax, otherwise return as 0. Right? So you can see this. If E33 has a E33, where is the E33? E33 is where? Yes, if E33 has a yes, is this sales a tax? Yes. Then if it is yes, then we go to F31. Where is F31? That is F31 times the sales tax. Where is the sales tax? Sales tax. Where is the sales tax? Yeah, sales tax is here. Otherwise, we return a 0, right? So that is how you can use an if statement with another function. So we can use if statement with the multiplication, with addition, or with subtraction. All of them can be used to help you to make your sales and your workbook easy. Now you can see if we have this one. Now let's just take some data. Let me say here we have 5. and here, and okay, sorry, let's start with the apple, then we have here 5 apples. Now again here the amount, let me just say amount, and apple is 50 bob. Now let's insert an if statement here. We are saying if sorry, that's erroneous. We are saying if this cell has the apple, if this cell has the apples, if C33 equals to apple, right? And then we do the sum. We do the sum of which parameters? Of this, oh no, not the sum, but we can match the sum of these and these. Sorry. And that. Otherwise, we return a 0. Let's see if our nini works. Right. Now, we are saying if our C39 has the apples, then sum these, otherwise return a 0. Okay, there is somewhere we have not done right. Aha. So we need to multiply this by another parameter here. Times 2. Let's just use times 2 here. But it should be outside the brackets. Times 2. Otherwise return as 0. Now let me change here to be orange. Still returning a 0. Because the if statement is not met.